Take a look at this. We're showing you some live pictures on the left in Washington, D.C. It's starting to rain, but the crowds have gathered with umbrellas. They're right across the street from the White House, Lafayette Park, near St. John's Church, right over there. We're watching that closely. On the right side of your screen, you see Miami, where you see police cars have gathered to prevent protesters from going onto an interstate over there. It's a tense situation in Miami right now. We're watching all of this closely. We're also following up on the breaking news, the backlash in Buffalo, New York, after 2 police officers were suspended for shoving an elderly man during a protest. Let's bring in 2 former police chiefs. Scott Thomson headed up the Camden, New Jersey police force, and Charles Ramsey led up the police departments in both Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. He's now a CNN law enforcement analyst. Chief Ramsey, what do you make of those 57 police officers in Buffalo, and we just interviewed the mayor there, resigning from their emergency response unit to show their solidarity with those 2 suspended police officers following that very, very disturbing incident?
Well, first of all, anybody who watches that video and thinks that's okay, there is absolutely no need to take that kind of action. If they shoved him, it didn't mean for him to fall, but the fact that when he was laying there, you got a pool of blood gathering around his head. I mean, it's just unacceptable. And if they think that's okay, and if they think the chief overreacted in terms of suspending him, as far as I'm concerned, let him go. But I would take it a step further. I would hope they resign from the department. With unemployment being what it is, it wouldn't take much to replace them. So we don't need that kind of attitude in our business. We're in a time of crisis right now across the country. And for you to quit, no, that wouldn't fly with me.
That's an important statement. Chief Thomson, what do you think?
Yeah, what I saw, I just did not see force that was proportional with the situation. I also did not see the duty to render aid, which is absolutely critical. But, if that's the type of reaction that people in that unit are going to have, then they shouldn't be in that unit. That's addition by subtraction as far as I'm concerned. And I kudos to the mayor and to the police chief there that are not blinking. They're doing the right thing. They're calling in other agencies. They're backfilling in those positions. But they can't fold. Look, police departments across the country, as they start to institute change that needs to occur, they're going to see this type of resistance and this type of backlash. And you can't buckle at moments like that.
Hey, Chief Ramsey, this isn't an isolated incident. As you know, unfortunately, in Buffalo, we're seeing other troubling videos emerging, indeed, from all over the country of police using disproportionate force on peaceful protesters. These incidents lead many to be skeptical of police reform. But you're credited with successfully reforming police here in Washington, D.C., in Philadelphia, and I'm sure Chief Thomson has done the exact same thing in Camden, New Jersey. Let me get reaction from both of you. Chief Ramsey first.
Well, I can tell you that Scott did the same thing in Camden. There's no question about that. He totally redesigned and built a brand new police department, quite frankly, and it hasn't been the same since, for the good, I mean. The chief there in Buffalo certainly has his hands full. But what you see unfolding in cities across America where police are using excessive force against demonstrators is the exact reason why we are where we are right now. I mean, I just don't get it. Nerves get frayed. People get upset on both sides because this has been going on for over a week. But there's no excuse for some of the behavior that I have seen, quite frankly, whether it was clearing Lafayette Park in Washington, D.C., what you just saw in Buffalo, that situation in Atlanta, body slamming that woman. I mean, those things are unacceptable, and it taints the entire profession.
Chief Thomson, you succeeded in Camden, New Jersey. How did you do it?
Well, we started with a couple key components. One is the sanctity of human life. That underpins everything we do. From our use of force policy. And second, well, to be quite frank, is we embrace the Hippocratic Oath for policing, which is first, do no harm. Our de-escalation training, where essentially we trained police officers how to take situations that were rising and push it in a different direction, actually lower the temperature in the room. And what we found is that not only was it safer for the people we were dealing with, it was also safer for the officers as well. And the byproduct of that was we saw a reduction in our excessive force complaints by 95%. We went from a department that had very low levels of trust and high levels of disdain from the community for its police to one where you see Black Lives Matter and Chief Wysocki, the current chief at the end of the police department, walking hand in hand together.
Chief Thomson, Chief Ramsey, to both of you, thanks very much. Thanks for everything you've done. Thanks for what you're doing right now. We're showing our viewers some live pictures coming in from Miami, peaceful protesters. They're very angry right now. We're watching all these protests unfold around the country. Much more of our special coverage right after this.